Halo is Xbox's flagship franchise, an incredible sci-fi FPS series. But the recent games, they haven't performed as well. They haven't been received as well. So I'd like to take a look at what Microsoft is doing and how it thinks PS5 can help it make Halo great again. If you're a bit younger, you might not know too much about Halo's history. The original Halo Combat Evolved was the incredible AAA exclusive title that defined the original Xbox. And it really stood out at the time because it was a game, the Xbox was released shortly after the PS2, but it had graphics that were definitely improved, a grade above what you were getting in PS2 games. So when Halo was released, it looked better, it looked sharp. It was this FPS game that had these controls that felt really good, and it had this sci-fi narrative story of the Halo rings and the Covenant, and it made this whole mythos. It's Star Wars for the early 2000s for the Xbox PlayStation generation. So I'm just saying this to give a little bit of background of why Halo was so important, the original Halo games, because it really shifted the generation forward in terms of new features with this incredible gameplay.
Halo Nation, which is now over 5 million strong, it's interesting. Unlike a lot of video games, it actually grew. It didn't explode and then diminish.
It was a mega franchise. It was a cultural phenomenon. It made the news. There was the midnight openings. This is before the days of digital downloads. The BBC covered it. It was everywhere.
Midnight, November 9th, and the launch of what is perhaps one of the most anticipated console video games of all time. I'm going to step aside and let these guys tell you what it is.
Then, after the first three Halo games, news came out that Bungie, the developers of the series, they were going to be divorcing from Microsoft. Microsoft would then be creating its own new studio to create Halo games because it would be retaining the franchise. Microsoft now owned Halo. So it set up a new studio called 343i specifically for making Halo games. The Halo games released by 343i had a mixed reception. Whilst Halo 4 broke sales records, the Master Chief Collection was beset with technical issues. The subsequent games were criticized for losing their way with story and gameplay.
How has the fact that you're now running the show there affected the game?
Yeah, I think diversity does attract diversity.
And the most recent, Halo Infinite, had the community so enraged because of missing features and infrequent updates that the head of 343i, Bonnie Ross, was forced to leave. This brings us to the end of last year, October 2024, and 343i released a video. And in that video, it revealed that it was rebranded now to Halo Studios. A brand new name, and I imagine this is to separate it from the history of being part of 343i and generally the mismanagement of that studio. With Call of Duty, we've seen that it has dominated gaming annually for many years, over a decade now, and it has become this massive cultural talking point. And it's an FPS game, and I think it leads the way in demonstrating that there can be other FPS games that can do the same. And with Halo, it hasn't reached its potential. I think with Call of Duty, it has shown the way and it can lead the way to what Halo could potentially achieve. So this is where the new Halo game comes in, and this is where PlayStation 5 and the new Switch 2 come in. So what is coming to PS5 and perhaps Switch 2? We don't know yet. There's two different rumors. One of them is that it's going to be the Halo Master Chief Collection, which is the collection of previous Halo games. And another rumor is that it's going to be Halo Combat Evolved. So let's take a look at both of them. If it's the Master Chief Collection, in that at the moment, you've got multiple Halo games. Halo 1, 2, 3, ODST, and Halo Reach. They're all included in this game. And they've all got multiplayer as well. So if Microsoft is going to port those to other platforms, you would have to port all those games. But then it would probably have to port the multiplayer as well, because you can't have Halo without the multiplayer. That is a big aspect of it. And, it's not a big aspect, it's actually the key aspect of Halo. So I think it's less likely that Microsoft is going to release a Master Chief Collection. The other rumor is that Microsoft is making a remastered version of the first game, Halo Combat Evolved. And I think this one makes a lot more sense because what concentrating on making one game means is that it's a lot easier for development. The Halo Studios, they're just making one game. It's probably going to be made in Unreal Engine 5. So that's going to then give them experience using the new tools to make a Halo game. And then they can concentrate on making one multiplayer for one game. And that multiplayer can be accessed by all communities. And it would be a great jumping on point for PlayStation, Switch communities, and of course, Xbox communities. If these can all come together with this game, that would be magnificent. And who knows, if the next mainline Halo game is 3 years away, if Combat Evolved Remastered is a success, then Microsoft could release the Halo 2 and then Halo 3 as remastered versions for these new platforms. Halo is Xbox's jewel in the crown and it's been mishandled, but it hasn't been destroyed. Halo Combat Evolved Remastered would be a great opportunity, return it to its former glory.